Once you learn to talk to yourself correctly, something profound begins to shift within you. The words you repeat in silence become commands, and reality responds until everything begins to bend in your favor. Speak like this, and you will discover that everything you seek was always waiting to be claimed. Speak like this. Introduction. Within the unseen realms where intention weaves itself into reality, there exists a quiet, sacred current, the voice within you. It is not merely thought, nor passing imagination, but a subtle force shaping the very fabric of your existence. Every word you speak inwardly becomes a spell, every belief a thread in the tapestry of your destiny. You are not separate from the power that moves the stars and stirs the unseen laws of creation. When you begin to speak to yourself as one who already walks in abundance, fulfillment, and purpose, you step into harmony with that vast, intelligent force that governs all things. In this alignment, manifestation is no longer effort. It becomes a natural unfolding. What many seek outside themselves is quietly determined within. The law of attraction does not answer desperate wishes or surface-level longing. It listens instead to the deeper rhythm of your inner dialogue, the tone, the emotion, the silent truths you repeat when no one else is listening. It is here, in this sacred solitude, that your reality is truly decided. Every thought you hold with feeling is like a seed placed into fertile ground. Tend to it with awareness, and it will grow. Neglect it, and it will still grow, but perhaps into something you did not intend. Your inner world is a garden, and your words are both the gardener and the soil. Transformation, then, is not found in forcing positivity, nor in empty repetition of words without meaning. It is found in awakening to your own divine nature and speaking from that truth. When you begin to address yourself with honor, certainty, and quiet authority, something ancient within you stirs, the creator you have always been. Your words carry an energy, a frequency that moves beyond the limits of the physical world. This frequency becomes your signature in the vast field of existence, calling forth experiences that mirror its essence. When your inner voice is steady, faithful, and aligned with possibility, life begins to respond in kind, as if guided by an unseen hand. This is where your power begins. Not in action alone, but in the silent conversations you cultivate within. As you refine this inner language, you will notice something extraordinary. The outer world begins to rearrange itself, reflecting your inner knowing. Opportunities appear, paths open, and what once felt distant begins to draw near. What you hold in words becomes what you hold in reality. This is no new knowledge. It is an ancient truth, carried quietly through time by those who understood its depth. Now, it stands before you once more, not as something to merely read, but as something to embody, to live, and to awaken within. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Awakening of Inner Speech. Chapter 1. The Mirror That Talks Back. A merchant's daughter gazed at her reflection each morning, her words sharp as winter frost. "You'll never amount to anything," Millie whispered to the glass, unknowing that each syllable etched invisible barriers into the fabric of her destiny. Day after day, Opportunities slipped through her fingers like water, and doors that should have opened remained stubbornly closed. In the marketplace of her small town, every merchant seemed to overlook her finest wares. Her garden withered despite devoted care, and potential suitors passed by her door without a glance. Yet Millie failed to see how her own voice had become the architect of these misfortunes. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, simply mirrored back the truth she spoke about herself. Each harsh judgment became a stone in the wall between her and her desires. Each criticism wove another thread into the veil that obscured her from good fortune's gaze. You see, the law of attraction does not distinguish between what you wish for and what you declare about yourself. It responds with perfect precision to the vibration of your self-directed speech. When you proclaim limitation, the universe cannot help but orchestrate circumstances that confirm your proclamation. Consider now the tale of Jamie, a weaver who discovered this truth through an ancient practice passed down by her grandmother. Each morning, she stood before her mirror and spoke to her reflection as though addressing a cherished friend. "You are worthy of abundance," she would say, her voice gentle as spring rain. "Your hands create beauty. Your heart knows wisdom. Your path leads to joy." At first, the words felt foreign on her tongue, like coins from a distant land. But as days turned to weeks, something remarkable began to unfold. Customers sought out her tapestries, speaking of their unusual beauty. Opportunities arose as naturally as flowers turning toward the sun. Her life transformed not through external change, but through the steady alchemy of self-loving speech. Your reflection is more than an image. It is a portal through which you broadcast your deepest beliefs to the universe. The words you speak to yourself carry the power to shape the very matrix of your experience. Ancient practice of mirror speaking. As twilight approaches, stand before your reflection in perfect solitude. Let your eyes meet your own with gentleness. Begin to speak aloud the truths of your divine nature, not as hopes or wishes, but as certainties. I am worthy of all good things. My presence brings light to others. Success flows to me naturally. Continue until you notice your reflection softening, until your heart beats in rhythm with these higher truths. Feel how the universe leans in to listen, how reality itself begins to shift its shape to match your words. This is not mere practice. It is the art of becoming who you truly are. Chapter 2. The Garden Inside Your Mouth. In the quiet village among rolling hills, Benny Dale Carter tended his garden with diligence but spoke to it with despair. Each morning he would inspect his withering plants, muttering harsh words about their slow growth. "You stubborn seeds, refusing to sprout in this worthless soil," he would say, his voice heavy with frustration. The drought had lasted weeks, and his impatience grew with each passing day. The universe responds not to our physical actions alone, but to the vibration of our words. Like invisible droplets of water, our speech nurtures or withers the seeds we plant in the garden of existence. When you speak of lack, the universe can only mirror that perception back to you. In the same village lived Clara May Winslow, whose garden told a different tale. Even during the harshest drought, she would walk among her unborn flowers, speaking to them as though they already danced in full bloom. "My beautiful daisies," she would whisper each morning, "how gracefully you sway in the breeze, your golden faces turned toward the sun." Though no buds were visible, she maintained her loving dialogue with unwavering faith. Your words carry the power to shape reality itself. When you speak from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, you align yourself with the natural flow of creation. The law of attraction responds not to what your eyes see, but to the pictures your words paint in the canvas of consciousness. Soon, Clara May's garden transformed into a tapestry of gold, her daisies pushing through the earth in magnificent abundance. Meanwhile, Benny's garden remained barren, a reflection of his doubtful declarations. The seeds in both gardens held the same potential, but the words spoken over them created vastly different realities. The practice. As the sun rises each day, before engaging with the world, stand in a quiet space and speak these words of abundance. I am surrounded by infinite prosperity. My life blooms with perfect timing. Everything I touch flourishes with divine grace. Abundance flows to me naturally and easily. I am grateful for the endless blessings manifesting in my life. Repeat these affirmations with the gentle certainty of someone who knows their words are already becoming reality. Let each statement fill your mouth with sweetness, as though you're tasting the nectar of manifestation itself. Continue this practice until you feel your entire being vibrating with the frequency of abundance. Chapter 3. The Whisper That Builds Bridges. In the heart of a bustling office tower, Eddie Lou Harmon created walls without mortar, barriers without bricks. Each unspoken grievance, each swallowed response became another invisible stone in a fortress of isolation. When Thomas, from accounting, mishandled his reports, Eddie Lou retreated into silent resentment rather than addressing the issue. When Maria proposed changes to his project timeline, he nodded wordlessly, while his thoughts spun tales of intentional sabotage. Day by day, his inner dialogue grew more bitter. They're all against me. No one understands my work. I'm alone in this. The universe responds not to what we wish to say, but to what we whisper in our hearts. Every thought of separation manifests as actual distance. Every assumption of ill will creates genuine discord. Your words, even those unspoken, weave the fabric of your relationships. Consider how Rosie Jean Holloway transformed her workplace through the simple alchemy of changed thoughts. Where once she saw rivals, she chose to see allies finding their way. Her morning practice became one of blessing. Claire brings valuable perspective, replaced Claire always contradicts me. John is learning and growing, superseded John never gets it right. Within days, the atmospheric shift was palpable. Claire began seeking Rosie Jean's input before meetings. John started leaving thoughtful notes about shared projects. The very colleagues she had once viewed as adversaries now appeared as collaborators in an unfolding story of mutual success. This transformation reveals an ancient truth. The bridges we build in our minds become pathways others can mysteriously traverse. When you speak of understanding in your private thoughts, you create energetic channels through which connection naturally flows. Your inner dialogue becomes an invisible architect, designing spaces of either conflict or communion. The law works with unfailing precision. Your assumptions about others crystallize into your lived experience. Speak of war within, and you'll find battles without. Whisper of peace in your heart, and watch harmony unfold in your world. Sacred practice. When discord arises, find a quiet moment alone. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Begin speaking inwardly with genuine feeling. We are on the same side of love. Let these words become your mantra, repeating them until you feel the shift in your heart. Notice how the energy between you and others transforms, how barriers dissolve, and how hearts naturally respond to this higher vibration you now broadcast. Chapter 4. The Echo Chamber of Desire. In the bustling marketplace of the ancient city, Harvey Glenn Bishop sat among merchants, his own stall bare compared to the abundance surrounding him. Day after day, his words echoed the same refrain. Wealth eludes me. I have waited so long, yet prosperity remains distant. His companions knew him by this lament, as familiar as the morning sun. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not to our desires, but to our deepest convictions. Through Harvey's persistent declaration of lack, he wove a tapestry of delay around himself. Each utterance of still waiting became a command to the universal forces to maintain that very state of waiting. The law of attraction operates through the frequency of your words, transforming them into living energy that shapes your reality. When you speak of waiting, you emit a vibration of absence. When you declare readiness, you broadcast the frequency of reception. In a village not far from Harvey's, Nellie Jo Stanton discovered this truth through an unexpected shift in her speech. Where once she had spoken of someday and eventually, she began to declare her prosperity in the present moment. My success unfolds now, she would say while tending her small shop. Abundance flows to me with perfect timing. The transformation in Nellie's reality occurred not through chance, but through the precise application of universal law. Within weeks, opportunities appeared as if summoned by her words. A traveling merchant chose her shop for a profitable partnership. A forgotten investment matured at the perfect moment. Her timing aligned with fortune's favor, not because time itself had changed, but because her vibration had shifted from waiting to receiving. The law of attraction responds to your present vibration, not to the calendar's chapters. Time is merely the canvas upon which your frequency paints its manifestations. When you speak of waiting, you command more waiting. When you speak of receiving, you invite immediate unfoldment. Before retiring each night, find a quiet moment for this sacred practice. Settle into the silence and whisper your desire as though it has already manifested. Feel the joy of its presence filling your chest. Let these words be the last impression upon your consciousness. I am now living in the abundance I once sought. My prosperity grows with each passing moment. Allow this feeling to accompany you into sleep, knowing that morning will dawn to match your inner knowing. Through this practice, you align your energy with the frequency of manifestation rather than anticipation. The universe knows no difference between what is spoken in faith and what exists in form. It responds to the vibration of your conviction. Chapter 5. The Tune of Belief. In ancient times, a woman named Willa Beth Monroe moved through her days with a constant hum of worry vibrating beneath her breath. As she walked the marketplace, did her household tasks, or prepared for sleep, an endless stream of anxious melodies poured from her lips, sometimes so quiet only she could hear them. Yet the universe caught every note of her troubled songs, and her life moved in perfect rhythm with her nervous music. The vibration of your voice, whether speaking or humming, creates ripples in the vast ocean of universal energy. These ripples return to you as waves of matching experience. Your inner music becomes the soundtrack of your manifest reality. When you hum worry, you conduct an orchestra of anxiety. When you sing praise, you summon a symphony of abundance. Just as spoken words carry creative force, the melodies you craft in quiet moments shape the harmony of your circumstances. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between a worried hum and a fearful declaration. It responds to the emotional frequency regardless of form. Your inner songs become the background music of your destiny. Jeffrey Cole Baxter discovered this truth quite by accident. Where once he had whistled tunes of lack while counting his meager coins, he began humming melodies of gratitude while walking to work. He noticed that doors began opening before him, literally and figuratively. Shopkeepers offered him unexpected discounts. Strangers stepped aside to let him pass. A promotion appeared at work without his seeking it. His simple shift in inner music had changed the entire orchestration of his daily life. The universe responds not just to our words, but to our wavelength. When you attune your inner melodies to the frequency of abundance, the world cannot help but dance to your tune. Every hum becomes a prayer, every whistle an affirmation, every song a seed planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. Ancient practice. As you move through your day, become aware of your unconscious humming, sighing, and whistling. When you catch yourself creating sounds of worry or defeat, consciously shift to simple melodies that match your desires. Let your inner music become an anthem of receiving. The universe will soon begin singing back to you in perfect harmony, orchestrating circumstances that mirror your transformed tune. Chapter 6. The Cloud of Compliments. In the bustling corridors of Hampton and Associates, Susie Pearl Dillard toiled with unwavering dedication. Each morning she arrived before sunrise, meticulously preparing reports, organizing meetings, and ensuring every detail was perfect. Yet, no matter how flawlessly she performed, her contributions seemed to vanish into thin air, unnoticed by her supervisor. The truth lay not in her supervisor's oversight, but in a pattern woven into the fabric of her own consciousness. In moments of solitude, her inner dialogue revealed the source. "I'm invisible," she would whisper to herself. "Nothing I do matters." These words, spoken in the quiet chambers of her mind, became the architects of her reality. The universe operates through a sacred principle. External recognition can only flow through the channel of self-recognition. When you stand before the mirror of life, what you see reflects what you believe about yourself. Your words of self-appreciation act as keys, unlocking doors that have always existed but remained hidden from view. Consider that every achievement, no matter how small, sends ripples through the cosmic fabric. These ripples return as waves of opportunity, but only when you first acknowledge their worth. The law of attraction responds not to your actions alone, but to the energy with which you celebrate them. Marlon J. Peabody discovered this truth through an ancient practice passed down through generations. Each evening, he would pause to honor his daily accomplishments. "I completed that presentation with clarity and confidence," he would say, or "I handled that challenge with wisdom." Within months, his supervisor began echoing these very acknowledgments. Opportunities for advancement appeared as naturally as dawn follows night. 3 promotions manifested within a year, each one arriving precisely when his inner celebration reached its peak. His story illuminates a fundamental truth. The universe mirrors your self-regard. When you withhold appreciation from yourself, you instruct the world to do the same. But when you become your own first admirer, you activate a magnetic force that draws recognition from every corner of existence. This is not pride or vanity. It is alignment with universal law. Just as a flower must first recognize its own beauty before it can attract the butterfly, you must first honor your own light before others can be drawn to its radiance. Sacred practice. Each time you complete a small task, smile inwardly and remark, "Well done, beloved," until celebration feels natural, because self-approval summons divine favor. Chapter 7. The Word That Woke the Morning. In a small cottage among rolling hills, Daisy Ruth Trenton would open her eyes each morning with a heavy sigh, her first words invariably being, "Another difficult day ahead." Like clockwork, her prophecy would fulfill itself. Tasks would pile up, conversations would strain, and opportunities would slip away before she could grasp them. The universe holds a sacred truth. The first words you speak upon waking carry extraordinary power. They are like seeds scattered across the fertile soil of consciousness just as it emerges from the dream state. In these precious moments between sleep and full awareness, your vibration is most receptive, most pure. The thoughts and words you choose become the foundation upon which your entire day builds itself. When you begin each morning with complaints or worry, you tune your frequency to that lower vibration. The law of attraction then dutifully matches your energy, bringing experiences that mirror your expectations. It is not punishment. It is perfect reflection. Leonard Frank Melrose discovered this wisdom through an unexpected source, his grandmother's journal. Within its weathered chapters, he found her daily ritual of greeting each sunrise with the simple words, "Thank you for this beautiful new day." Following her example, he began speaking gratitude as his first conscious act. Where once his mornings had been shrouded in gloom, light began to penetrate. His chronic melancholy, which had clung to him for years, started dissolving like morning mist in sunlight. What changed was not the world itself, but the lens through which he perceived it. By speaking light into existence at dawn, he gave the universe permission to orchestrate events that matched his new vibration. Opportunities appeared as if by magic. People responded more warmly, and solutions emerged where before he had seen only problems. The first moments of consciousness are like pristine snow. Whatever pattern you imprint will remain. When you choose to speak words of appreciation, you create pathways for joy to follow. Your initial utterance sets the tone for the hours that follow, conducting the symphony of your day. Ancient practice. Upon first waking, before reaching for your phone or allowing thoughts of duties to intrude, whisper these words to existence itself. Thank you for this precious day. Feel the warmth of gratitude spread through your being. Let this simple act of appreciation guide your energy until nightfall. This practice, passed down through generations of wisdom keepers, holds the power to transform your entire day's vibration. Chapter 8. The Promise in Your Breath. In the quiet streets before dawn, June Ellen Crosby would wake with her heart racing, her breath coming in short, desperate gasps. Each inhale seemed to whisper, "Not enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough love." Her chest tightened with every breath that carried this hidden message of lack into her being. Like countless others before her, she had unknowingly transformed her most fundamental act of living into a prayer of scarcity. The breath, in its sacred simplicity, speaks a language far more potent than words alone. With every rise and fall of your chest, you engage in an ancient dialogue with the universe. Each breath carries not just life-giving oxygen, but the very essence of your deepest beliefs about existence itself. When anxiety clouds your breathing, you transmit its frequency into every cell of your being, and the universe responds in kind. Yet within this same mechanism lies the key to transformation. Your breath, when consciously directed, becomes a bridge between your current state and your desired reality. It serves as both messenger and message, carrying your intentions into the vast field of infinite possibilities. Arnold Seth Fletcher discovered this truth during his darkest hour. After years of battling chronic anxiety, he stumbled upon an ancient breathing practice that would alter the course of his existence. Instead of allowing his breath to unconsciously repeat patterns of fear, he began infusing each exhale with the simple phrase, "I am safe." At first, the change seemed subtle, barely perceptible against the backdrop of his habitual worry. But as days turned to weeks, something remarkable began to unfold. With each breath that carried this new message of security, Arnold's nervous system began to respond. His shoulders relaxed, his mind cleared, and situations that once triggered panic started to lose their power over him. The universe, ever attentive to the signals we send, began reflecting back this new frequency of peace. Your breath is not merely a biological function. It is your most intimate conversation with the divine. Every inhalation is an opportunity to receive universal energy, and every exhalation a chance to declare your truth to existence itself. When you consciously infuse your breath with positive intention, you transform this automatic process into a powerful tool for manifestation. Ancient practice of breath alignment. During moments of worry, settle into a comfortable position and bring your awareness to your breath. As you inhale, let your mind form the word receiving, welcoming the infinite abundance of the universe. As you exhale, think the word complete, acknowledging your inherent wholeness. Continue this practice until you feel your physiology shift into alignment with these truths, allowing your breath to speak calm into creation. Chapter 9. The Melody of Money. In a bustling market square, Calvin Hugh Redding entertained his friends with witty remarks about his empty pockets. "Look at me," he would say, "so broke I can't even pay attention." His companions roared with laughter, and Calvin felt momentarily lighter. Yet with each jest about lack, the universe recorded his declarations, taking them not as mere entertainment, but as sacred instruction. The law of attraction knows no difference between a statement made in jest or in earnest. Your words, whether wrapped in humor or solemnity, become commands to the infinite intelligence that shapes your reality. When you mock your circumstances, even playfully, you unconsciously reinforce the very conditions you wish to transcend. The vibration of your words carries more weight than their surface meaning. Each time you speak, you send ripples through the cosmic fabric, attracting experiences that match your proclamations. These ripples do not distinguish between a joke and a serious declaration. They simply respond to the energy you broadcast. Consider how Lottie Grace Newman transformed her financial reality. Instead of joining in the common chorus of lack-based humor, she began playfully declaring her abundance. "I'm so prosperous," she would say with a genuine smile. "The universe can barely keep up with my blessings." Her laughter carried the frequency of true belief, and within months, unexpected channels of wealth opened before her. Bonuses appeared, opportunities multiplied, and resources flowed as if responding to a secret call. Lottie's experience reveals a fundamental truth. When you align your humor with your highest aspirations, the universe moves to match your vibration. Her laughter wasn't empty. It contained the seeds of genuine expectation, watered by joy rather than irony. This shift in humorous expression demonstrates how even our lightest moments can serve as powerful points of attraction. When you jest about abundance rather than scarcity, you tune your energy field to the frequency of prosperity. The universe, ever responsive to your vibrational offering, begins orchestrating circumstances to match your elevated expectation. Ancient practice. When financial concerns arise, find a quiet space and begin with soft, genuine laughter. Let it bubble up naturally as you speak these words. Prosperity flows to me as naturally as breath. Abundance delights in finding me. Continue this practice for several minutes, allowing your laughter to infuse these statements with authentic joy. Feel the lightness of being already blessed, knowing that your cheerful expectation is drawing wealth toward you with magnetic precision. Chapter 10. The Conversation of Cells. In a quiet village among rolling hills, Opal May Sanderson spent her days speaking to her joints with resigned familiarity. "Oh, these old bones will never change," she would sigh, greeting each morning with tales of her perpetual discomfort. With each passing season, her prophecies of pain seemed to fulfill themselves, as though her body was simply following instructions. The ancient wisdom tells us that our physical form listens intently to every word we speak about it. Like a devoted servant awaiting direction, your body shapes itself to match your declarations. When you proclaim eternal weakness, your cells arrange themselves accordingly. When you announce endless suffering, your nervous system adapts to fulfill your expectation. Yet within this truth lies extraordinary power, the power to speak new life into every fiber of your being. Your body does not distinguish between past experiences and future possibilities. It responds purely to the vibration of your words in this moment. Claude Henry Porter discovered this truth quite by accident. After years of persistent back troubles, he began a peculiar practice. Each morning he would touch his spine and whisper, "Thank you for growing stronger each day." At first it felt foolish, speaking gratitude to a body that seemed unwilling to change. But as the days passed, something remarkable occurred. His movements became easier, his discomfort lessened, and his healing accelerated beyond medical expectations. The wisdom in Claude's experience reveals a universal principle. Your body manifests the story you tell about it. When you shift from criticism to appreciation, from resignation to expectation of renewal, your physical form follows your lead. Every cell awakens to your new narrative, eager to align with your words of wellness. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the activation of natural law. Your body exists in a constant state of renewal, awaiting your instructions. When you speak to it with loving authority, it responds with remarkable intelligence, reorganizing itself according to your highest vision. Ancient healers understood this principle intimately. They knew that recovery accelerates when the patient speaks in harmony with their desired state of health. Your words carry the power to awaken your body's innate healing wisdom or to suppress it. At bedtime, place a hand wherever tension lingers and softly say, "You are doing perfectly, dear," allowing relief to ripple through your cells. This simple practice aligns your spoken intention with physical touch, creating a powerful circuit of healing energy. As you drift toward sleep, your body receives these loving messages without resistance, beginning its restoration in perfect accordance with your words. Part 2. The Mastery of Emotional Language. Chapter 11. The Lantern in the Storm. In a bustling marketplace, Bonnie Lee Caldwell stood frozen as waves of panic washed over her. The crowd's energy swirled around her like a tempest, and her words emerged scattered and frantic. "I can't handle this. Everything's too much." With each anxious declaration, the chaos seemed to intensify, mirroring her inner turmoil. Within the vast tapestry of universal law lies a truth as old as time itself. Your words shape not only your inner landscape, but the very atmosphere around you. When you speak from chaos, chaos multiplies. When you speak from peace, peace prevails. This is not metaphor, but mechanism, the precise operation of energy responding to the frequency of your chosen words. Your voice carries a power beyond mere communication. It is an instrument of creation, continuously adjusting the vibration of your experience. Each word you utter sends ripples through the quantum field, organizing circumstances to match your emotional tone. This is why ancient mystics taught their disciples to guard their speech as carefully as they would guard a sacred flame. In moments of apparent disorder, your words become either anchors that hold you in turbulence or wings that lift you above it. The universe does not distinguish between your reactions and your intentions. It simply magnifies whatever signal you broadcast through your speech. Curtis Dale Vernon discovered this principle during a company crisis that threatened to unravel years of work. While others rushed about in panic, he began speaking in measured tones. Order emerges naturally. Solutions appear with perfect timing. At first, his colleagues viewed his calm as denial. Yet within days, the situation began to mysteriously realign. Resources appeared unexpectedly, conflicts resolved themselves, and harmony restored itself as though guided by an invisible hand. His experience demonstrates that speech carries a magnetic quality. Your words do not merely describe reality, they summon it. When you consistently name peace in the midst of chaos, you create an energetic template that circumstances gradually conform to. This is not wishful thinking, but the application of spiritual law. The power lies not in the specific words themselves, but in the unwavering certainty with which you speak them. When you declare peace with the same conviction that others declare crisis, you establish a frequency that chaos cannot penetrate. Your calm words become lanterns in the dark, showing the way to resolution. In times of turmoil, pause and quietly pronounce, "Clarity is finding me now." Let these words float on your breath until you feel the air itself growing still around you. Watch as your voice's authority demonstrates itself in the gradual settling of circumstances, revealing the true power that has rested within your speech all along. This ancient practice reminds us that our voices carry the seeds of transformation. Every word spoken with centered awareness becomes a point of light around which new realities can form. The universe eternally awaits your serene command. Chapter 12. The Cup That Talks to Water. In a small cafe among ancient cobblestones, Patsy June Merrick lifted her morning coffee to her lips. Her face twisted into a familiar scowl. "This tastes terrible, like everything else in my life," she muttered, pushing the cup away. Day after day she found herself returning to the same cafe, ordering the same drink, yet experiencing the same disappointment. Unknown to her, each bitter sip reflected the words she spoke into existence. The universe operates through vibration, responding to the frequency of our words and emotions. When you speak of bitterness, existence has no choice but to mirror that quality back to you. Your words become the invisible ingredients in everything you consume, every experience you taste. Consider how water, the foundation of all beverages, responds to human intention. Scientists have discovered that water molecules change their structure based on the words and emotions directed at them. This truth extends beyond mere coffee cups. It reaches into every aspect of physical reality. Richard Bo Thompson discovered this principle quite accidentally. Each morning he would pause before his first sip of coffee, whispering, "Thank you for this blessed drink that nourishes my body and soul." At first he felt foolish speaking to his beverage, but soon noticed something remarkable. His coffee began tasting richer, more satisfying. The same beans, the same brewing method, yet an entirely different experience. "This cup overflows with goodness," he would say, infusing each word with genuine appreciation. Others began commenting on the exceptional quality of his coffee, asking what brand he used. Richard would simply smile, knowing the secret lay not in the beans, but in the blessing. The same coffee beans can yield two entirely different experiences based on the consciousness that receives them. Your words carry the power to transform not just your perception, but the very molecular structure of what you consume. When you speak to your food and drink with reverence, you activate an ancient law of energy exchange. Before consuming anything, pause and remember, matter is merely energy responding to consciousness. Your words have the power to sweeten any experience, to transform any substance through the alchemy of gratitude. Ancient Blessing Practice. Before taking your next meal or drink, place your hands gently around your cup or plate. In a soft voice, speak these words: "Divine Substance, I bless you with love. You are filled with life-giving energy." Take 3 slow breaths, allowing your words to ripple through the substance before you. As you consume, notice how the taste transforms with your blessing. This practice awakens you to the responsive nature of all creation, showing you that everything, from the simplest drop of water to the grandest feast, awaits your words of blessing to reveal its highest potential. Chapter 13. The Spell of Forgiveness. A merchant named Earl Wayne Petty carried bitterness like stones in his pockets. Each morning he would wake and mutter about Thomas, his former friend who had opened a competing shop across the street. The more Earl spoke of betrayal, the more his own business withered, though he could not see the connection between his words and his dwindling fortunes. The universal law works with unwavering precision. What you speak of others becomes the energy that shapes your own path. When you hold another in the prison of your judgment, you unknowingly lock yourself in the same cell. Your words of resentment become the bars that contain your own expansion. Every time Earl saw Thomas's thriving shop, he would whisper harsh words under his breath. With each bitter utterance, another customer would drift away from his own door. The universe does not distinguish between the subject of your words and their effect. It simply matches the vibration you maintain. In the same town lived Linda Ray Hollister, who had recently divorced her husband of 20 years. Instead of speaking ill of him, she made a curious choice. Each morning she would say, "I wish him well on his path." When memories of hurt arose, she would gently state, "We both did our best with what we knew at the time." Within months, her interior design business flourished unexpectedly. New clients appeared as if guided by an invisible hand. The energy she had freed through kind words about her ex-husband returned to her multiplied, though in forms she could never have anticipated. This eternal truth remains. Forgiveness is not merely a moral virtue. It is a practical tool for unlocking your own abundance. When you release others from the prison of your words, you liberate yourself from the energetic blocks that impede your progress. The words you speak about others carry a dual power. They shape both their image in the universal mind and your own capacity to receive. Speaking with compassion about those who have hurt you is advanced manifestation practice. It clears the channels through which your good must flow. Sacred practice. When thoughts of resentment arise, find a quiet space and pour a glass of water. Hold it between your palms and whisper with genuine intent, "I set us both free to thrive." Drink half the water and pour the other half into a plant, knowing that as you release the old energy, new possibilities can take root. Repeat this practice whenever bitterness attempts to make its home in your heart. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Honey of Silence. In a bustling marketplace beneath the warmth of an afternoon sun, Trudy Fay McMillan spoke without pause. Her words tumbled forth like water from an endless spring, flowing over conversations, drowning moments that might have held meaning. Each morning she feared the weight of silence, filling every space with chatter, until even the sweetest thoughts turned bland upon her tongue. The universe whispers this truth. Words carry power in proportion to the silence from which they emerge. Like precious gems requiring darkness to reveal their brilliance, speech gains its potency from moments of quiet contemplation. When you scatter words endlessly into the wind, their essence disperses, leaving only empty echoes. Within each pause dwells the seed of intention. In that sacred space between thoughts, the universe aligns with your deepest truths. Your words become vessels of creation only when they arise from still waters. Consider how the greatest commands of creation emerged from vast silence. Let there be light, and there was light. Such is the power held in measured speech. Vernon Luke Aldridge discovered this wisdom through necessity rather than choice. After losing his voice to illness, he learned to weigh each word carefully, speaking only when meaning demanded expression. As his speech became rare, people leaned in to listen. His carefully chosen words carried weight, manifesting with surprising speed. What once required lengthy explanations now manifested through simple, intentional phrases. The law of attraction responds not to the volume of your words, but to their vibrational clarity. When speech emerges from silence, it carries the pure frequency of your intention. Like a bell rung in a quiet temple, its resonance travels far beyond its source. This ancient truth reveals itself. Silence is not empty, but full of potential. Each pause between your words allows the universe to align with your intention. Speaking becomes an act of power when it springs from the well of thoughtful quiet. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, embrace small moments of silence. Before speaking, pause briefly and affirm internally that your voice carries golden meaning. Let your words rise from stillness like morning sun touching dew. This practice transforms ordinary speech into declarations of power, each word carrying the weight of conscious intention. Chapter 15. The Clock of Creation. The evening shadows stretched long across Sadie Ruth Coleman's garden as she gazed at the withering flowers she had planted too late in the season. "If only I had started earlier," she whispered, each word carrying the weight of missed opportunities. Day after day she counted the mounting years, marking time's passage with sighs of "too old now," and "that ship has sailed." The universe speaks in the language of now. Neither early nor late exists in its infinite vocabulary. When you declare yourself behind schedule, you command reality to maintain that gap between desire and manifestation. Your words weave the very fabric of temporal experience, determining whether time flows as your ally or persists as your adversary. Time is not a rigid master, but a faithful servant, responding to the vibration of your certainty. Each moment holds infinite potential, waiting to be activated by your declaration of readiness. When you proclaim "too late," you close the gates through which your good would flow, but speak "divine timing unfolds," and watch as the universe rearranges circumstances to match your confident expectation. Martin Lee Pickett discovered this truth quite by accident. After decades of lamenting missed chances, he began stating simply, "I am right on time." He spoke these words while tending his garden, driving to work, and preparing for sleep. Within weeks, opportunities appeared as if they had been waiting for his signal. A business partner emerged with the perfect proposition. A house he had long admired suddenly became available. Even his creative inspirations arrived with perfect precision. "I am always in the right place at the right time," became his daily mantra. The more he aligned his speech with divine timing, the more life synchronized with his desires. Doors opened precisely when he reached for them, and people appeared exactly when he needed their guidance. Your relationship with time transforms through the words you speak about it. When you release the habit of declaring lateness, you free the universe to operate in its natural state of perfect timing. Each moment becomes pregnant with possibility, each now expandable into miracle. Sacred practice. As impatience rises within you, place your hand over your heart and speak these words. "Divine timing flows through me now. All things come to me in perfect sequence." Repeat this declaration until you feel your breath slow and your trust deepen. Let these words become your temporal compass, guiding you into alignment with the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Chapter 16. The Feather of Faith. In a small village among ancient hills, Cora Belle Hutton spent her days weighing down her aspirations with words of hesitation. "Perhaps someday," she would murmur, or I'm not sure if. Each phrase added another stone to the wall between her and her dreams, until her desires seemed to drift further away with each passing season. Every morning she would gaze at the mountains from her window and whisper, "Those peaks are too high for someone like me." And so they remained, distant and unconquered. Her words created an invisible barrier, denser than morning mist, more impenetrable than stone. The universe responds not to the volume of our declarations, but to their lightness. When we speak of our dreams as if they were burdens, they become exactly that. Your words are not merely sounds escaping into the air. They are messengers carrying the weight of your belief to the vast expanse of creation. Consider how a feather rises on the gentlest breeze while a stone remains earthbound. Your words possess this same quality. They either float toward manifestation or sink into the soil of doubt. The law of attraction responds to the buoyancy of your speech, lifting those declarations that soar with certainty while anchoring those heavy with hesitation. In the neighboring valley lived Jasper Gale Whitcomb, who discovered this truth through simple observation. He noticed how the morning glories opened at dawn without questioning the sun's arrival. Taking inspiration from these delicate blooms, he began speaking of his intentions with the same natural certainty. "The way is opening before me," he would say with the lightness of a spring breeze. "My good arrives with perfect timing." His words carried no burden of doubt, no weight of worry. They floated up like prayers, elegant in their simplicity, powerful in their trust. Within months, opportunities began appearing with remarkable ease. Doors opened as if touched by invisible hands. Connections formed naturally, each one leading him closer to his aspirations. His light words had become bridges between possibility and reality. This tale reveals an ageless truth. The universe mirrors the weight of our words. When we speak with the delicacy of trust rather than the heaviness of doubt, we allow our desires to rise naturally into form. Sacred practice. Each morning, find a quiet moment and speak your truth with the gentleness of dawn. Say, "I thank you for the beautiful way everything is unfolding." Let these words float from your lips like flower petals on a stream. Feel their lightness. Notice how your spirit lifts with each soft declaration. Continue this practice until your words carry only the weight of grace, and watch as the universe responds in kind. Chapter 17. The Door That Opens by Name. In a bustling marketplace, Henrietta Sue Palmer moved like a ghost among the crowd, her shoulders hunched as if to make herself smaller. Though she offered the finest hand-woven textiles in the village, merchants passed her stall without a glance. Each evening, she whispered to herself, "No one ever sees me." And with each utterance, she faded further from view. Your words of self-description are not mere observations. They are royal decrees. When you speak of yourself as invisible, the universe conspires to honor your proclamation. The language you use to name yourself becomes the crown you wear, and all of creation responds to your self-bestowed title. This truth reveals itself in layers, first in the mirror of your own perception, then in the eyes of others, and finally in the very fabric of your circumstances. Each time you diminish yourself through speech, you command a shrinking of your presence in the world. Yet when you speak with the authority of one who knows their worth, reality itself must bow to your declaration. In the merchant district across town, Clyde Owen Bentley discovered this principle through an accidental experiment. After years of feeling overlooked, he began each morning by stating firmly, "I am recognized for my wisdom and contributions." At first, the words felt hollow, yet he persisted. Within weeks, neighbors sought his counsel. Customers lingered at his shop, drawn by an inexplicable magnetism. Even strangers would stop him in the street, asking directions as if drawn to an ancient lighthouse. The shift was subtle but undeniable. Clyde had not changed his actions, only the words he used to define himself. By speaking his worth into existence, he had adjusted the frequency at which life responded to his presence. This ancient truth whispers through every interaction. What you claim about yourself becomes law in the universe of your experience. Your identity statements are not descriptions but prescriptions, writing the script for how others must perceive and receive you. Sacred practice. Each morning before the world awakens, stand before your mirror. Speak your name, followed by words of honor. Your name: you are seen, valued, and deeply respected. Let each syllable carry the weight of truth until your heart recognizes its own nobility. Continue this practice until the very air around you vibrates with the frequency of your declared worth. Chapter 18. The Candle of Expectation. In the quiet hours before dawn, Betty Lou Travers would whisper to herself, "Nothing ever works out for me." These words became the architect of her experiences, laying foundations of disappointment stone by stone. Each morning, she would wake to find her predictions fulfilled, missed opportunities, canceled plans, and relationships that seemed to slip through her fingers like water. The universe moves with exquisite precision, matching our internal dialogue with unwavering accuracy. When you speak of inevitable disappointment, you transmit a frequency that draws precisely that experience toward you. Your words become prophecy, not because fate is fixed, but because the law of attraction responds to the vibration of expectancy with perfect fidelity. Observe how your anticipated outcomes shape the invisible paths before you. Every declaration of, "I knew this would happen," strengthens the magnetic pull of similar experiences. The universe does not judge whether your expectations are positive or negative. It simply matches their energetic signature with mathematical precision. Rodney Dean Faulkner discovered this truth through an accidental shift in his speech patterns. One morning, rather than his usual grumbling, he playfully announced to his empty kitchen, "Today will bring wonderful surprises." Within hours, an old friend offered him concert tickets, a client doubled their order, and a stranger paid for his coffee. The next day, he repeated this experiment, declaring, "Magic unfolds naturally in my world." Again, delight followed delight. A promotion appeared unexpectedly, a lost heirloom resurfaced, and an opportunity for travel materialized from nowhere. This was not mere coincidence. Rodney had stumbled upon the sacred art of expectant speech, words charged with the certainty of blessing rather than the resignation of doubt. His new way of speaking carried the vibration of already manifested joy, and the universe responded in kind. When you shift your language from anticipating problems to expecting miracles, you alter the very fabric of possibility around you. Your words become keys that unlock doors you never knew existed. The law of attraction responds not to your wishes or hopes, but to the unwavering certainty in your voice when you speak of good things approaching. Ancient practice. Before each task, pause and softly predict joy aloud, then let curiosity lead the way. Speak as if delight is inevitable. This meeting will bring unexpected blessings, or this journey holds wonderful surprises. Let your words carry the light touch of someone who knows that miracles are natural, and watch as reality aligns with your spoken expectation. Chapter 19. The River of Receiving. In the quiet valleys between mountain ranges, Millard Gene Farley tended his orchard with diligence, but struggled to accept the praise his neighbors offered for his succulent peaches. "Oh, it's nothing special," he would say, or "anyone could do this," pushing away their genuine admiration. Each time he deflected a kind word, the branches seemed to bear less fruit, and the sweetness of his harvest diminished ever so slightly. The universe operates through channels of receiving. When you close one door to abundance, you inadvertently close many others. Your words of refusal become barriers, creating invisible walls that block the natural flow of life's gifts. Each "I can't" or "I don't deserve" becomes a command to the universal forces, instructing them to withdraw their bounty. Agnes Pearl Whittington discovered this truth through her flower shop in the heart of town. When customers praised her arrangements, she learned to smile and say, "Thank you, I receive that blessing." With each acceptance, her business flourished in unexpected ways. Anonymous benefactors began sending her rare seeds. Suppliers offered exclusive blooms. Her simple shift in language transformed her shop into a sanctuary of abundance. The law of attraction responds not just to what you request, but to how openly you receive. Think of your words as vessels. They can either catch or spill what the universe pours forth. When you speak acceptance, you create space for more to arrive. When you deflect, you tell the universal forces that you prefer emptiness. Each "thank you" becomes a magnetic force, drawing more reasons to be thankful. Each "I receive that" signals to the universe that you are ready for greater blessings. Your acceptance language becomes a permission slip for abundance to multiply in your experience. This ancient truth echoes through every spiritual tradition. Gratitude multiplies grace. But beyond mere gratitude lies the art of receiving, the ability to stand firm in your worthiness and accept the good that seeks you out. Your words of acceptance are like lighting candles in dark rooms. They illuminate paths for abundance to find you. When you speak as one who is worthy of receiving, the universe conspires to prove you right. Practice. When appreciation or help appears in your life, pause and consciously receive it. Let your voice carry the warmth of acceptance as you say, "Thank you, I receive that blessing." Feel the words resonate in your chest, creating space for more goodness to flow. Do this daily until acceptance becomes your natural response, and watch as life begins to offer you increasingly beautiful gifts. Chapter 20. The Firefly of Imagination. In a small apartment overlooking the city, Tessie Roy Malone would quickly dismiss her imaginative thoughts, believing them to be foolish distractions. "Such childish nonsense," she would mutter, forcing her mind back to what she deemed practical matters. Yet with each dismissal, her creative spirit dimmed, and her days grew increasingly mundane. The universe speaks the language of imagination. When we voice our visions aloud, we breathe life into them. Each spoken detail adds a brushstroke to the canvas of manifestation. Your words paint the picture that reality will mirror. As you describe your desires with the precision of an artist naming colors, the universal forces gather the elements of your creation. The power lies not in silent wishes, but in the bold declaration of your vision. When you speak your dreams into the air, you create vibrations that shape the quantum field. These sounds carry the blueprint of your desires into the fabric of existence. The universe responds not to muted yearnings, but to voiced certainty. Homer Clyde Dennison discovered this truth quite by accident. Each evening, sitting in his cramped bedroom, he would describe his ideal art studio in vivid detail. "The northern light streams through tall windows," he would say. "The wooden floors creak pleasantly beneath my feet. The walls are the perfect shade of sage green, and there's a small alcove perfect for my easel." At first he felt somewhat foolish talking to empty air, but he continued his practice, adding more details each night. "The rent is exactly what I can afford," he would specify. "It's only 10 minutes from my home in that charming historic district I love." 3 weeks into this practice, Homer noticed a small "For Rent" sign in a window he passed daily. Upon inquiry, he found himself standing in a space that matched his spoken vision with uncanny precision, from the sage green walls to the northern exposure, down to the very alcove he had described. The interpretation is clear. When we dare to voice our visions, we program the matrix of creation. Our spoken words act as magnetic coordinates, drawing to us the precise circumstances we describe. The universe moves matter to match the patterns we speak into existence. Sacred practice. Each evening, find a quiet space and speak your vision as if narrating a scene unfolding before you. Describe every detail, the colors, textures, sounds, and feelings of your desired reality. Let your voice carry the certainty of one who knows their words shape tomorrow. Continue until your body tingles with the truth of your speaking, for in that moment, creation has already begun its response. Part 3. The Language of Creation Fulfilled. Chapter 21. The Symphony of Surrender. In the bustling heart of the city, Gina Ray Langley mapped every minute of her day with rigid precision. "This must happen exactly like this," she would command, clutching her planner like a shield. Her words pushed against the natural flow, creating resistance where grace could have dwelled. With each forceful declaration, she unknowingly constructed barriers between herself and the harmonious unfolding of life. The universal law whispers a timeless truth. Control is an illusion that tightens what could flow freely. Your words either constrict or release the current of creation. When you speak from a place of rigid demands, you interrupt the elegant dance of manifestation. The universe responds not to force, but to faith, not to pressure, but to permission. Each time you release your grip on outcomes through gentle speech, you align with the greater wisdom that orchestrates all things. Your surrendered words become keys that unlock doors you never knew existed. The power lies not in demanding what you want, but in trusting what seeks to emerge through you. Claude Finn Buckner discovered this wisdom during a period of intense business uncertainty. Rather than forcing solutions, he began softening his speech. "I trust the perfect outcome is already in motion," he would say, letting go of his need to orchestrate every detail. "Life knows the way," became his gentle mantra. As his words relaxed, so did the circumstances around him. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, better than anything he could have planned. Solutions emerged from unexpected directions. By surrendering control through his speech, he allowed the universe to work its greater magic. Where once he would have said, "This deal must close by Friday," he now spoke, "Divine timing guides this perfectly." Instead of, "I have to make this happen," his words became, "I allow success to find its natural path." His business not only flourished but expanded in ways his controlling mind could never have conceived. Sacred practice. When anxiety spikes, sigh the words, "I release control to love," until rhythm of calm replaces force. Let this practice dissolve the tension of trying to manage every detail. As you speak these words, feel the relief of surrendering to a wisdom greater than your own. Your release becomes an invitation for grace to enter and guide your path. Chapter 22. The Smile in the Sentence. In a small cottage among blooming gardens, Lucy Pearl Radford sat each evening with her leather-bound journal, pouring her worries onto its chapters. "Nothing ever works out," she wrote, her pen heavy with disappointment. "Life keeps getting harder." Day after day, she faithfully recorded her struggles, unknowingly crafting a manuscript of melancholy that the universe read with perfect attention. As her words grew heavier, so did her circumstances, until her garden withered and her hopes followed suit. Within every written word lies a vibration, a signal that ripples through the fabric of creation. Your pen is not merely an instrument of record, it is a wand of manifestation. Each stroke carries the energy of your emotional state, sending wavelengths of intention into the quantum field, where reality takes shape. When you write, "I am tired of waiting," you command more waiting. When you describe life as a burden, you summon experiences that confirm this belief. The law of attraction responds not just to your thoughts and spoken words, but to every written declaration you make. Your journal becomes a spell book, each entry a decree that the universe must honor. Consider Aaron Troy Merriweather, who transformed his life through the simple act of joyful journaling. Each morning, he wrote 3 chapters of appreciation, ending every sentence with an exclamation point of enthusiasm. "The sun touches my window in the most perfect way. My coffee tastes like liquid gold. Even the birds seem to sing just for me." His words danced on the page, alive with delight. Within weeks, Aaron's reality began to mirror his writing. Opportunities appeared as if by magic, each one matching the vibrant energy of his journal entries. His business flourished, relationships deepened, and even his health improved, all following the trail of joy he had written into existence. This is not mere coincidence. The emotional punctuation you choose, the exclamation points of excitement, the periods of certainty, the question marks of curiosity, creates energetic patterns that the universe echoes back to you. A sentence ending in gratitude carries a different frequency than one trailing off in doubt. The sacred practice handed down through ages reveals this truth. Change your writing, change your life. When you infuse your words with light, light finds you. When you write of abundance, abundance reads your story and enters as a character in your life. Sacred practice. Each morning, take your journal and write 5 observations about your present moment. End each one with emotional punctuation that signals joy and expectation. The morning air fills my lungs with vitality. My heart beats with perfect rhythm. Today unfolds with grace. Let your writing become a celebration, and watch as life begins to read back to you the story you have chosen to tell. Chapter 23. The Ladder of Listening. In a bustling marketplace, Ruthie Claire Denton moved through life like a thunderstorm, her words crashing over others' thoughts before they could fully form. She carried an ancient fear that if she didn't speak loudly and quickly enough, her desires would dissolve into thin air, unheard by the universe. Each day she wove a web of endless chatter, yet her manifestations remained stubbornly distant, like stars too far to touch. The universe operates through a sacred rhythm of speaking and listening. Just as the ocean must draw back before sending forth its waves, your creative power flows most purely when you first empty yourself of noise. Your words carry the force of creation, yet their power lies not in volume or quantity, but in the silence from which they emerge. Think of your consciousness as a still lake. Each thought creates ripples, but only in stillness can you see clearly to the bottom where truth dwells. When you fill every moment with sound, you leave no space for the universe to whisper its secrets. The law of attraction responds not to the loudest voice, but to the clearest frequency, and clarity emerges from silence. Walter Joe Lang discovered this truth quite by accident. After losing his voice to laryngitis, he was forced into 3 days of complete silence. In that unexpected quiet, he began to notice subtle nudges and gentle knowings. A feeling would arise to turn left instead of right, leading him to chance encounters that advanced his dreams. An inner prompt would suggest waiting an extra moment before entering a building, timing his arrival perfectly for an opportunity he'd been seeking. The more he listened, the more life seemed to orchestrate itself around him. His previously scattered manifestations began arriving with remarkable precision. Without the constant interference of his own voice, he could finally hear the universe's loving guidance. This mirrors an eternal truth. Before speaking your desires into being, you must first attune yourself to the voice of inner wisdom. This voice speaks in feelings, in subtle impressions, in the quiet certainty that precedes words. When you align your speech with this deeper knowing, your words naturally carry the frequency of fulfillment. Your creative power multiplies when you master the art of sacred listening. Just as a master musician first tunes their instrument before playing, tune your consciousness through silence before speaking your intentions. Let each word rise from a place of inner alignment rather than anxious need. Practice. In moments of decision or desire, pause and create space within. Close your eyes, take 3 gentle breaths, and ask your question silently. Wait in that stillness until you feel an answer arise, not as words, but as a knowing. Only then, let your speech flow from that place of connection. This practice aligns your voice with universal wisdom, ensuring your words carry the full power of truth. Chapter 24. The Rainbow of Relationships. In a bustling marketplace, Hazel June Redford stood watching passers-by, her lips pulled into a familiar frown. "People are so difficult," she muttered, clutching her bag closer as others brushed past. With each utterance of those words, she noticed how shopkeepers grew curt. Fellow customers turned cold, and even simple transactions became strained experiences. Every declaration of human difficulty wove an invisible barrier between her and others, until her days became a self-fulfilling prophecy of disconnection. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, could only mirror back the vibrational signature she broadcast into the world. Yet within this same vibrant marketplace, Calvin Ross Delaney discovered a transformative truth. Each morning, he began his day by speaking words of blessing about every person he might encounter. "The world brims with beautiful souls," he would say, his voice carrying the warmth of genuine belief. "Each person carries a light waiting to be recognized." As his words shifted, reality responded in kind. Strangers began offering unexpected smiles. Shop owners remembered his name, and chance encounters blossomed into meaningful connections. The very air around him seemed to shimmer with possibility, as though his chosen vocabulary painted the world in warmer hues. This ancient wisdom reveals itself anew. Your words about others become the glasses through which you perceive them, and more importantly, the frequency to which they unconsciously tune. When you speak of humanity with reverence, you activate a higher resonance in your social field. Each blessing pronounced becomes a note in the symphony of connection, each kind word a thread in the tapestry of community. The language you choose about others carries a creative force that shapes the very nature of your interactions. Those who consistently speak of others with appreciation find themselves surrounded by appreciative souls. Those who verbally honor the dignity in each person discover that dignity rising to meet them. Remember, your speech about humanity is not merely description, it is prescription. When you declare people difficult, you tune yourself to the frequency of difficulty. When you speak of others as divine expressions of life, you align with their highest potential, and they naturally respond to that alignment. The transformation begins the moment you consciously choose to revise your social vocabulary. Where you once saw difficulty, train your tongue to speak of diversity. Where you previously noted frustration, learn to voice fascination with the rich tapestry of human expression. Sacred practice. Each morning upon waking, speak these words with deep sincerity. I bless every soul whose path crosses mine today. In each face I see family. In each voice I hear wisdom. In each heart I recognize light. Continue this practice until you feel humanity's fundamental oneness becoming your natural assumption. Stop. This completes the scene as per instructions, including opening story, teaching, second story with Calvin Ross Delaney, interpretation, and the specified practice. Chapter 25. The Secret of Still Words. In the quiet hills of a mountain village, Ida Faye Morrison filled her days with endless affirmations. Morning and night, she would recite powerful phrases with mechanical precision, her voice a metronome of hope. Yet the universe seemed deaf to her declarations. Her words, though perfectly chosen, floated away like leaves in an autumn wind, leaving no trace of transformation behind. The ancient truth reveals itself. Words are vessels of power, but their potency lies not in repetition, but in the sacred space we create within them. When you speak to the universe, it listens not to the quantity of your declarations, but to the quality of your presence within each syllable. Every word carries an energetic signature, a vibration that ripples through the fabric of creation. This signature strengthens not through repetition, but through the depth of consciousness you pour into each utterance. Gilbert Lee Chandler discovered this wisdom through an unexpected source. One morning, as he watched his grandmother knead bread with deliberate, unhurried movements, he noticed how she blessed each fold with complete attention. That evening, instead of rushing through his usual manifestation practice, he chose a single statement: "I am abundance embodied." He let each word rise slowly from his depths, feeling the resonance of I before moving to am, experiencing the fullness of abundance until it filled his chest, allowing embodied to settle into his bones. Within days, his reality began shifting. Opportunities appeared with natural ease, as if responding to an unspoken signal. His words had become seeds planted in fertile soil rather than scattered on hard ground. The universe responded not to his vocabulary, but to his vibration, the energetic truth behind his words. This teaches us that manifestation occurs not in the saying, but in the sensing. When you speak with your whole being, even whispers move mountains. Empty repetition creates empty results, but words filled with presence become portals for power. The practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply until you feel a subtle tingling throughout your body. This is your energy field awakening to consciousness. Choose one statement that represents your deepest truth. Let it rise naturally from your heart to your lips. Speak it once, fully present with each syllable, as if you were pronouncing the word for the first time in existence. Feel its vibration in your cells before opening your eyes. Your single, conscious declaration holds more power than 1,000 mindless repetitions. Chapter 26. The Compass of Joy. In a small village among rolling hills, Lula Bell Givens lived her life by a strict schedule of must and should. Each morning she would wake before dawn, her first words always the same: "I have to get through this day." Her calendar burst with commitments made from duty rather than desire, and her voice carried the weight of endless obligations. The universe responds not to our actions alone, but to the energy within our words. When we speak from obligation, we create a frequency of resistance, and life becomes a series of tasks to endure rather than adventures to embrace. Each must and should builds invisible walls between you and your natural flow. Lula Bell's days grew heavier until she could barely lift her spirit to greet the morning sun. Yet within her heart, a small voice whispered of another way, one where joy leads and duty follows. This whisper held a truth as old as time. The path of delight creates more lasting good than the path of obligation. In the same village lived Horace Neal Pennington, who discovered this wisdom through an unexpected turn. One morning, rather than forcing himself to attend a meeting he dreaded, he paused and asked himself, "What thrills my soul?" The words themselves seemed to sparkle with life. He began speaking them daily. "This thrills me" became his measure for decisions both large and small. As Horace Neal allowed enthusiasm to guide his speech, remarkable shifts occurred. Projects he once avoided transformed into opportunities that energized him. People sought his company, drawn to the authentic joy in his voice. His work, now aligned with his passion, produced results that surpassed all previous achievements. The language of joy serves as an internal compass more precise than any logical analysis. When you speak from genuine enthusiasm, you activate an ancient wisdom within, one that knows your true path better than any external guide. Your words of delight are lighthouse beams illuminating the way forward. The practice. In moments of decision, pause and speak aloud two choices. Notice which words carry lightness in your voice. They reveal your soul's preference. Trust this subtle difference. It is your inner wisdom speaking through the quality of your words. Chapter 27. The Light in the Letter. In a small apartment overlooking city lights, Mamie Rose Hubbs sat at her desk each evening, penning farewell letters to her unrealized dreams. "Goodbye to the dance studio I never opened," she would write, or "Farewell to the novel unwritten." With each letter, she believed she was making peace with disappointment, unaware that her written words were carving deeper grooves of lack into her experience. The universe responds not to what we accept as gone, but to what we claim as present. Every stroke of pen or pencil sends ripples through the fabric of creation, impressing upon substance itself the reality we choose to acknowledge. When you write, you engage in one of the most potent forms of manifestation available to human consciousness. The act of writing slows thought into deliberate formation, allowing each word to crystallize with greater power than spoken speech. Your hand becomes the instrument through which intention takes physical form. Jean Wade Hollowell discovered this truth quite accidentally. In a moment of inspired playfulness, he began writing letters dated 1 year in the future, describing his thriving consulting practice with vivid gratitude. "Thank you for the wonderful clients who fill my calendar," he wrote. "I'm deeply grateful for the wisdom I share daily and the lives transformed through this work." Within months, his practice began shifting. New clients appeared as if summoned by his written declarations. Opportunities aligned precisely with the scenarios he had detailed in his future correspondence. Each letter served as a beacon, drawing reality toward its vision. The space between desire and manifestation collapses when we write from the perspective of fulfillment. Words pressed into paper carry a unique frequency, one that mingles with physical matter differently than our thoughts or spoken affirmations. They become anchors that steady our vibration in the frequency of having rather than wanting. The art lies not in documenting what is, but in declaring what will be, with such conviction that time itself bends to meet your written truth. When you compose from the future looking back, you create a bridge across which your desires can travel. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment and special paper that feels sacred to touch. Write a letter dated 1 year from today, expressing heartfelt gratitude for all that has manifested in your life. Detail the experiences, achievements, and blessings as if they have already occurred. Seal this letter in an envelope and keep it close to you, in a journal, under your pillow, or near your heart. Let its presence remind you that your words have already set these events in motion. The universe now conspires to match your written declaration. Chapter 28. The Paradise of Pause. Once, in a small village among ancient hills, there lived a woman named Mabel Jean Cuthbert. Like water rushing through a broken dam, her words spilled forth in an endless stream. She filled every moment with chatter, fearing the void that silence might bring. In meetings, she spoke before others finished their thoughts. At home, she kept the television's constant murmur as company. Even in prayer, she hurried through her supplications, never allowing the divine to respond. The universe operates in the spaces between. just as music finds its rhythm in the pause between notes, and breath finds its power in the stillness between inhale and exhale, so too does creation manifest in the quiet moments between our words. These intervals are not empty. They are fertile ground where divine wisdom takes root. When you rush to fill every second with sound, you unknowingly block the channel through which inspiration flows. Each word spoken in haste builds a wall between you and the whispers of universal intelligence. The law of attraction responds not to the quantity of your words, but to the quality of your silence. In the neighboring town lived Percy Glenn Haskins, who discovered this truth through an unexpected teacher, his own tendency to stutter. What once brought him shame became his greatest gift. In forcing him to pause, his speech impediment opened doorways to wisdom. During these natural breaks in conversation, solutions would arise unbidden in his mind. Business opportunities would crystallize in the quiet. Relationships would deepen in shared silence. "Before my next word," Percy would say, "I wait for the universe to speak first." Within months, his conversations became known for their profound impact. People sought his counsel not for what he said, but for how he listened, to them, to the silence, to the unspoken wisdom hovering in the air between thoughts. The moment you embrace the pause between words, you enter the temple of creation itself. Here, in this sacred interval, the law of attraction works most powerfully. It is not your endless affirmations that manifest your desires, but your willingness to be still and receive. The next time you find yourself rushing to speak, remember, the universe writes its answers in the silence between your words. Let each pause become a doorway through which wisdom may enter. Trust that in stillness, creation is at work. Ancient practice. Find 3 moments each day to pause mid-sentence. Let quiet moments between words be invitations, trusting that life fills them beautifully. In these intervals of silence, feel the presence of universal intelligence gathering your next inspired thought. Chapter 29. The Ever-Speaking Heart. In the quiet mountain village of Silver Peak, Elsie Lou Foreman built walls of elaborate words around her tender heart. Each time emotion threatened to surface, she would retreat into complex explanations and scholarly terms, as if feelings needed academic defense. "I am experiencing temporary psychological displacement," she would say, when what she meant was, "I miss you." Her relationships remained shallow pools, never reaching the depths where true connection flows. The universe whispers its truth in the language of the heart, not the mind. When we cloak our authentic expression behind intellectual armor, we create resistance to the natural flow of life's energy. Your words carry power not in their sophistication, but in their resonance with inner truth. The vibration of genuine feeling outshines the most eloquent facade. Norman Drake Landers discovered this wisdom through an unexpected encounter. After years of crafting precise, measured responses, he found himself speechless before a sunset. In that moment of wordless wonder, something shifted. The next morning, when his daughter asked if he was proud of her, instead of his usual detailed assessment, he simply said, "My heart overflows when I see you shine." Tears of joy filled both their eyes. From that day forward, Norman chose simple truth over sophisticated speech. "I feel hurt" replaced, "Your actions have created emotional disruption." "I love spending time with you" took the place of, Our social interaction generates positive psychological outcomes. As his words simplified, his connections deepened. Colleagues who once kept distance began sharing coffee breaks with him. His wife said she finally felt truly seen. The heart speaks a universal language that needs no translation. When we allow our words to emerge from this sacred space, they carry the vibration of truth that others recognize instantly. This recognition creates resonance, and resonance creates relationship. Each honest expression becomes a bridge between souls. Your authentic voice waits beneath the layers of learned protection. It knows exactly what to say and how to say it. When you grant yourself permission to speak from this place of inner knowing, your words become instruments of healing, connection, and transformation. Practice. Before speaking, touch your chest mentally and allow speech to emerge from warmth rather than defense. Let your heart guide your tongue until authenticity becomes your natural language. Chapter 30. The Voice That Owns the Universe. In a small cottage among flowering gardens, Bertie Mae Rollins whispered harsh judgments to herself for years, unaware that each syllable shaped the walls of limitation around her life. Through gentle observation, she noticed that on days when criticism flowed freely from her lips, thorns seemed to spring up in her path. Yet in moments when kindness spilled naturally from her heart, the world softened its edges in response. The universe speaks in the language of loving declaration. Your words are not mere sounds cast into empty space. They are the very tools of creation itself. When you align your speech with the frequency of unconditional love, you tap into the same power that breathes life into stars. Bertie Mae began treating her words as sacred instruments. Rather than saying, "I hope this works out," she would declare, "I trust in divine timing." Instead of, "I'm trying to improve," she would state, "I am unfolding perfectly." Her reality began shifting with such grace that neighbors remarked on the peaceful glow that seemed to emanate from her home. This brings us to Emerson Roy Barlow, who discovered that gratitude expressed aloud carries the exact vibration of the creative force itself. Each morning, he would stand in his garden and speak appreciation for everything, from the dew on grass blades to the birds announcing dawn. Soon his life became an endless sequence of synchronized blessings, as if the universe delighted in matching his thankful heart with ever-increasing gifts. What Emerson realized was profound. When we speak in gratitude, we are using the original language of creation. The divide between creator and created dissolves. In that sacred space of thankful declaration, we remember our true nature as authors of our experience. Your voice holds this same divine authority. Each word you speak is a seed planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. When you bless your world with loving speech, you are not merely describing reality. You are participating in its ongoing creation. The practice. Stand in a quiet space each morning. Raise your hands slightly, palms facing outward, as ancient sovereigns once did when blessing their kingdoms. Speak aloud your gratitude and loving intentions for your realm, your home, your work, your relationships, your path. Let each word carry the gentle authority of one who knows their divine right to create through loving declaration. Feel the vibration of your voice rippling out into the quantum field, sculpting reality with the tender precision of awakened consciousness. Part 4. The Infinite Conversation. Chapter 31. The Thread of Intention. In the heart of a bustling city, Nora Lee Patterson would recite her affirmations like a speed reader racing through chapters. Morning and night, she dutifully repeated phrases about abundance and joy, yet her manifestations seemed to flicker like candlelight in wind, sometimes bright, often dim, never steady. She believed that more repetitions meant faster results, until life taught her otherwise. The truth lies not in how many times you speak your desire, but in how deeply you inhabit each word. When you rush through declarations of intent, you scatter seeds on shallow soil. But when you plant one seed with complete presence, it takes root in the depths of universal consciousness. Think of the difference between a whisper lost in crowd noise and a single clear note that makes crystal sing. The universe responds not to volume or repetition, but to the crystalline clarity of aligned intention. Your word, when spoken with full awareness, carries more creative force than 1,000 scattered affirmations. Felix Boyd Emerson discovered this wisdom through an unexpected source, his grandmother's garden. She told him, "I only need to tell each seed once that it will grow strong." He watched in wonder as her plants flourished while his multiple daily pep talks to his own garden yielded sporadic results. Taking this lesson to heart, he began approaching his manifestations differently. Instead of repeating affirmations throughout the day, Felix would find a quiet moment, center himself completely, and speak his intention once with absolute conviction. "I am now moving into my perfect home," he declared one morning, feeling the truth of it in every cell. Within a week, a series of synchronicities led him to exactly the space he had envisioned. This principle reveals a profound truth. The universe doesn't need convincing through repetition. It needs only to feel the unwavering certainty in your declaration. When you speak with the full weight of your being behind your words, reality has no choice but to reshape itself around your conviction. Consider how creation itself operates. Light did not need to be called forth repeatedly. One divine declaration was sufficient. Let there be light. In the same way, your conscious word, when aligned with absolute knowing, sets forces in motion that need no reinforcement through repetition. The practice. When expressing a desire, pause long enough to feel its full truth in your chest, and let one sincere sentence carry the whole wish into form without hurry. Allow yourself to become still until you can feel your heartbeat. Let your intention gather like dewdrops of light in your consciousness. When you feel the moment is perfectly ripe, speak your desire once, with the serene certainty of one who knows their word is law. Then release it completely, trusting that what is truly declared in consciousness must manifest in form. Chapter 32. The Bridge of Appreciation. Along a winding mountain path, a weaver named Ivy Mae Colbert carried her empty basket, lamenting that life had given her nothing worthy of celebration. Each morning she would rise, expecting grand gestures from the universe, a windfall of gold, a miraculous healing, or sudden fame. When these failed to materialize, her words grew bitter with disappointment. The universe, ever patient in its wisdom, placed small gifts in her path: a warm breeze, a bird's sweet song, the scent of wildflowers. Yet Ivy Mae walked past these treasures, her eyes fixed on distant horizons where she imagined greater fortunes must surely await. In the valleys below lived Franklin Ross Daly, a humble shepherd who had discovered a truth as ancient as the mountains themselves. One morning, after searching frantically for his keys, he found them glinting in the early sun. Instead of hurrying on with his day, he paused and spoke aloud, "Thank you for returning to me." This simple act of gratitude, offered to something so ordinary, began weaving an invisible thread. Within days, Franklin noticed more small returns: a lost coin beneath his chair, a forgotten letter containing good news, a neighbor returning a tool he'd misplaced years ago. He thanked each occurrence with the same genuine joy he'd expressed over his keys. As weeks passed, these minor acknowledgments grew into greater manifestations: an unexpected inheritance, an opportunity to purchase prime grazing land, a chance meeting that led to love. The teaching whispers that gratitude, when offered to life's smallest gifts, becomes the finest thread in creation's tapestry. Each thank you, spoken in genuine appreciation, weaves stronger connections between our consciousness and the abundant universe. We need not wait for magnificent displays before expressing our thanks, for it is in recognizing the sacred in the simple that we open channels for greater blessings to flow. Like water seeking its level, abundance flows naturally toward those who appreciate its earliest stirrings. Your words of thanks, offered in the moment of receiving even the most modest gift, become the signal that calls forth more to be thankful for. The universe delights in surprising those who show gratitude for small mercies with increasingly generous expressions of divine love. The practice. As the sun rises each morning, let your first words be of thanks for something small: the warmth of your bed, the breath in your lungs, the silence before dawn. Speak your gratitude aloud, letting each word carry the full weight of your appreciation. Feel how life begins hurrying to give you more reasons to speak these words of thanks. Chapter 33. The Language of Lightness. In a small cottage among flowering gardens, Minnie Fay Overall approached her spiritual practice with furrowed brows and tight shoulders. Each morning, she would sit rigidly at her meditation altar, forcing herself to recite affirmations with such stern determination that her jaw would ache. "I must get this exactly right," she would mutter, consulting countless books and journals to ensure her words aligned perfectly with ancient wisdom. Yet the more she struggled to perfect her practice, the more elusive her manifestations became. The universe whispers this truth. When we grip our spiritual tools too tightly, we constrict the very flow we seek to enhance. Just as water cannot pass through a clenched fist, blessings struggle to enter a consciousness bound by rigid expectation. Your words carry power not through perfect execution, but through the lightness with which you release them into the field of infinite possibility. Chester Neil Rawlings discovered this quite by accident one morning when he tripped over his cat while attempting a serious visualization exercise. Instead of becoming frustrated, he burst into laughter and began playfully describing his dreams as though sharing jokes with the universe. To his amazement, opportunities began appearing almost immediately. Where once he had solemnly intoned, "I am abundant," he now danced around his kitchen singing, "Money loves me, yes it does," with childlike delight. His bank account, rather than being offended by this playfulness, began to reflect his lighter vibration. The law of attraction responds most readily to the frequency of joy. When you speak your desires with a twinkle in your eye and lightness in your heart, you align with the natural state of the universe, which is eternal, playful expansion. Your words need not carry the weight of ceremony to hold power. Indeed, they become most powerful when freed from the burden of perfection. Watch how children create, with abandon, with delight, with complete faith that their imaginative declarations will be answered. They do not doubt or strain. They simply play their way into manifestation. This is the secret that mystics have hidden in plain sight. The highest form of spiritual practice is play. Sacred practice. Whenever your words begin to feel heavy with effort or rigid with ritual, pause and soften them with gentle humor or tender playfulness. Speak to the universe as you would to a beloved friend who delights in your joy. Let your affirmations dance off your tongue rather than march. Feel how this shift from solemn to light transforms the very air around you, making it shimmer with possibility. Your manifestations need not be earned through severity. They are your birthright, best claimed through laughter. Chapter 34. The Window of Wonder. Ella Jo Merriweather lived by her lists and plans, clutching tightly to outcomes she could envision. Each morning, she would declare precisely what needed to happen, how it should unfold, and when results must arrive. Yet the more she attempted to dictate life's exact arrangements, the more circumstances seemed to resist her rigid expectations. The universe speaks in infinite possibilities, yet we often limit its voice through our predetermined assumptions. When we believe we know the only way forward, we unconsciously close countless doors of opportunity. Your words of certainty about how something must manifest become the very walls that block unexpected blessings. Norman Clyde Everly discovered this truth quite by accident. Rather than demanding specific outcomes, he began prefacing his desires with playful curiosity. "I wonder how this will work out," he would muse aloud. "I can't wait to see what magical way this unfolds." The moment he released his grip on the how, extraordinary solutions appeared from directions he never could have planned. What Norman had stumbled upon was a profound spiritual law. Wonder is the language of infinite potential. When you speak with curiosity rather than certainty, you give the universe room to orchestrate circumstances beyond your limited imagination. Your words of wonder become invitations for divine intelligence to surprise you with its limitless creativity. Consider how a child approaches life, full of questions, eager for surprises, delighting in the unexpected. This is the vibrational frequency that allows miracles to enter. When you speak as if anything wonderful could happen at any moment, you tune your energy to receive life's most extraordinary gifts. The art lies in maintaining specific desire while releasing specific method. You may know exactly what you want, but the path to its manifestation often comes through channels you could never have conceived. By speaking with wonder, you give the universe permission to astound you with its ingenuity. "Show me something wonderful" becomes a master key that unlocks invisible doors. "I wonder what amazing opportunity is preparing itself for me right now," opens channels that rigid expectations would block. This is not about abandoning your desires. It's about allowing them to manifest in ways that might exceed your current vision. Ancient practice. As you voice your intentions each day, add phrases of wonder and curiosity. After stating what you desire, pause and say aloud, "Show me something even better than I can imagine." Let your words float up like lanterns into the night sky, trusting that the universe's response will surpass your expectations in the most delightful ways. Chapter 35. The Conversation of Courage. In the quiet hills beyond the city, Georgia Pearl Whitaker lived a life of careful wishes. Each time abundance knocked at her door, she would greet it with, "Perhaps," and, "if it's not too much trouble." Her dreams, though vast and luminous within her heart, emerged from her lips as mere whispers, diluted by politeness until they carried no power to move mountains. The universe, you see, does not respond to timid requests. It awaits those moments when your voice rises from the depths of certainty, when your words carry the weight of unwavering faith. Every bold declaration sends ripples through the fabric of creation, organizing the very atoms of existence around your spoken truth. Howard Dean Kessler discovered this sacred principle quite by accident. For years he had kept his artistic vision tucked away in private journals, speaking of it only in hypotheticals. But one autumn morning, standing before his empty studio, something shifted within him. He began to speak his truth with the authority of one who knows their rightful place in the grand design. "I am creating masterpieces that will move hearts," he declared to the bare walls. "My art will touch lives across continents." He spoke these words not as hopes or wishes, but as statements of fact already in motion. Within days, a prestigious gallery owner happened to walk past his studio. Within weeks, his first international showing was scheduled. The universe, you see, bends toward those who speak with the quiet confidence of creators. When you remove the perhaps from your vocabulary of manifestation, you open a direct channel between thought and form. Every "I am" and "I create" becomes a command that reality must obey. Sacred practice. Stand before your reflection each morning. Take a deep breath and locate a dream you've been shrouding in, maybe. Now, replace every hesitant word with clear, present tense declaration. Instead of "I hope to someday," say "I am now." Instead of "it would be nice if," proclaim "I choose this." Let your voice carry the resonance of absolute knowing, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to match your certainty. Speak as though your word is law, because in the realm of creation it is. Chapter 36. The Library of Vibration. In a modest apartment on the edge of town, Fanny Bell Morton kept her television running constantly, its waves of worry filling every corner. She surrounded herself with friends who shared endless tales of hardship, their voices weaving a tapestry of limitation that draped heavily across her days. Each morning began with news of what could go wrong, and each evening ended with conversations that confirmed life's difficulties. Her home had become an echo chamber of collective fear, though she never noticed how the very air grew thick with spoken doubt. The universe responds not only to our personal declarations, but to the entire symphony of sound we allow into our sacred spaces. Every word spoken or played within your walls becomes part of the vibration your life must match. When you surround yourself with voices of lack, worry, or defeat, you create an energetic prison that holds your manifestations at bay. Victor James Penrod discovered this truth quite accidentally. After years of hosting gatherings where complaints flowed as freely as coffee, he began to feel weighted down by an invisible force. One day, while cleaning his house, He chose to play recordings of spiritual teachers instead of his usual news programs. The shift was subtle at first, a lightness in the air, a gentle lifting of his spirits. Gradually, he became more selective about the conversations he would entertain in his home. He invited friends who spoke of possibilities rather than problems, who shared stories of triumph instead of tribulation. Within weeks, his home began to feel different, as though the very walls had absorbed a new frequency. Visitors would comment on the peaceful atmosphere the moment they crossed his threshold. His manifestations accelerated and synchronicities multiplied. The space itself seemed to hum with potential, proving that environments hold the vibration of the words spoken within them. Just as a crystal bowl continues to ring long after it's struck, your living space resonates with the accumulated sound patterns you allow within it. Every word of hope or despair leaves an invisible imprint, creating the energetic foundation from which your experiences must grow. Ancient wisdom practice. Gently curate your spoken surroundings by inviting dialogue that sounds like the future you desire until your home hums that melody constantly. Chapter 37. The Ocean of Allowing. In a small town among rolling hills, Ollie Sue Norwood carried her stories of hardship like precious heirlooms. "Nothing comes easy," she would say, believing that speaking of struggle somehow preserved her character. Each morning she would recount her difficulties to neighbors, wearing them like badges of honor. "I'm making it work, but it's such an uphill battle," became her daily refrain, a mantra that unknowingly anchored her in perpetual resistance. The universal law speaks clearly on this matter. Your words create the energetic architecture of your experience. When you consistently narrate struggle, you unconsciously reject the natural flow of abundance. The universe responds not to your worthiness, which is inherent and unchangeable, but to your willingness to receive. Consider how water moves through nature. It does not strain or push. It simply allows itself to flow along the path of least resistance. Similarly, your words can either create dams or channels in the stream of life's gifts. Leon Guy Chapman discovered this truth quite unexpectedly. After years of pridefully detailing his daily battles, he began a simple experiment. Instead of his usual, "I'm hanging in there" response when asked about his life, he started saying, "Things are flowing smoothly." At first it felt almost dishonest, as if he were tempting fate. But he persisted, replacing phrases like, "I'm working hard to make ends meet" with "resources arrive easily." Within weeks, his experience began shifting. A client doubled their order without negotiation. A forgotten investment matured at the perfect moment. Even his garden seemed to flourish with less effort. The more he spoke of ease, the more life arranged itself to match his words. This transformation reveals a profound truth. Allowance is not laziness, it is alignment. When you release the need to justify your blessings through tales of tribulation, you open yourself to life's natural abundance. Your speech is a subtle instruction to the universe. Each time you narrate difficulty, you commission more of the same. Each time you speak of ease, you grant permission for grace to enter. The practice. Throughout the day, repeat softly, "It's allowed to be this easy," until comfort becomes your native vocabulary. Chapter 38. The Golden Return. In the quiet hours before dawn, Myra Jean Caldwell sat at her window, questioning whether her practice of speaking loving words held any real power in the vast universe. Each morning she would whisper blessings to the rising sun, offer gentle encouragement to her plants, and speak words of appreciation to strangers she passed. Yet doubt lingered in her heart like morning mist, making her wonder if these soft utterances simply dissolved into the air without effect. The universe operates through an eternal law of circulation. Every word spoken with authentic love enters an infinite loop of blessing. Like water droplets rising from the ocean to form clouds that eventually return as rain, your loving expressions journey through the cosmos only to shower back upon your path in magnificent ways. Ernest Ray. Donnellan discovered this truth through what began as a simple experiment. For 3 months, he dedicated himself to speaking blessings into the lives of everyone he encountered. To the harried barista, he would say, "May your day be filled with unexpected moments of peace." To children playing in the park, he would smile and declare, "What a joy to witness such pure happiness." To worried-looking strangers on the street, he would offer, "I hope something wonderful surprises you today." At first, it seemed his words disappeared into the busy atmosphere of daily life. But slowly, mysteriously, grace began flowing back to him through countless channels. A forgotten inheritance appeared. Health concerns resolved themselves without intervention. Opportunities emerged that perfectly matched his deepest desires. Most remarkably, in moments of his own need, strangers appeared bearing exactly the right words of comfort or wisdom. This principle reveals that loving speech creates an energetic circle. What you send out must complete its journey by returning to you. The universe keeps precise accounts of every blessed word and ensures each one finds its way home, multiplied by the power of divine mathematics. Sacred practice. As you move through your days, scatter words of blessing like seeds upon the wind. Speak kindness freely, without attachment to how it might return. Trust that the universe will gather every loving syllable and weave it into a tapestry of answered prayers, not just for others, but for you. Watch in quiet wonder as your spoken blessings complete their cosmic circle dance, arriving back at your door bearing gifts you never thought to request. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Through these chapters, you have traced the subtle architecture of creation itself, the living bridge between thought, word, and manifestation. No longer do you view your inner dialogue as mere mental chatter, but as the sacred frequency through which the universe shapes your experience. Each whispered affirmation, each moment of gratitude spoken in the quiet of your heart, ripples outward through the fabric of existence. The law of attraction responds not to what you wish for in desperate moments, but to the consistent tone of your self-talk, the gentle way you address your own being. You now understand that every word carries a vibration, and that vibration becomes the template for what manifests in your physical reality. When you speak to yourself with reverence, the universe mirrors that reverence back to you in countless forms. When you declare abundance within, abundance finds its way to your door. This is not magic, but natural law, as consistent as gravity, as reliable as the dawn. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of consciousness, and the universe tends faithfully to whatever you plant. Speaking love to yourself yields a harvest of love from all directions. Speaking peace within creates peace without. You have learned that the most powerful changes begin in the quiet moments when no one else is listening. It is in these intimate conversations with yourself that you set the tone for all that follows. The universe does not respond to what you demand, but to what you become through the quality of your inner speech. Let this understanding be your companion as you continue forward. You are always in dialogue with the infinite, always creating through the power of your words.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.